At a March 12th news conference, Mayor Daley outlined Chicago's initial plan likely to be funded by the federal economic stimulus package. Here are highlights from that news conference on Chicago Works.
The historic economic stimulus legislation that President Obama has signed into law provides every city, and I think county and state, and the nation with many opportunities to create jobs, protect people and their quality of life during these very, very difficult economic times. The American Recovery and Reinvestment Act is the first step, and we underline the first step among many of Obama's administration is taking to jumpstart our nation's economic recovery. And in Chicago, we're moving to take full advantage of this diverse opportunities the program offers. It builds on the many steps we're taking here to do our part to kickstart our economy and help people get through these difficult, worst economy in modern times. And we all welcome this federal support. Why do we welcome the federal support? Because you pay federal taxes. It's simple as that. So if no one wants it, we'd be glad to take it. So when you pay federal taxes, you should get something back in your own communities. As we explained before, the bill provides it's formula funding and competitive grant opportunities to city and state government. So remember, you get formula, it's set down by federal formula, then you have competitive grants. You have to compete for these. Today we're announcing Chicago's initial plan, and that doesn't mean it cannot change, for investing the formula's proceeds we expect to receive from this legislation. Most of the competitive grant opportunities have not yet been released. So we'll be announcing those down the road, and they have to set up a whole new formula. Although some formulas for the distribution of these funds and some of the rules for spending the funds have not been announced in Washington, D.C. The city, our sister agencies, hope, and I understand hope to receive approximately $1 billion, but it's broken down, and you'll see that, into both hard infrastructure and human infrastructure. I want to make it clear that in each of these areas, we have developed initial funding proposals. We hope, and I understand hope is there, to receive these funds and invest these in various proposals. We are not putting any government employees on. And I firmly believe that the city, the state, and the federal government should not put any federal, no public employees should go on because of the economic stimulus package. This is to uplift the private sector. This is to get the money out into the private sector and stimulate them instead of putting any government employees on. Among the many categories for funding available to us, we'll be able to continue to improve the education of our students and prepare them for the learning in the 21st century. We'll be able to invest and improve our transportation, neighborhood infrastructure, including public transportation and streets. But the streets can only be used for arterial streets. They cannot, and this is not Mayor Daley, but under the law, it cannot be used for any side streets. So it has to be used for arterial streets. That is by the federal formula, not by Mayor Daley or City Council or anyone else. Also, we'll be able to provide even more training. There'll be money for training for the jobs of the future. So we talk about hard infrastructure and human infrastructure. We'll be able to maximize energy efficiency in many homes, provide more affordable housing, prevent homelessness, and prevent and fight crime in neighborhoods all across Chicago. But most importantly, through the formula funding part of the economic stimulus alone, we estimate about 17,000 jobs will be created or saved in Chicago or area. With a regional unemployment rate at 6.6 or going up, the worst it's been since December 2003, and unfortunately that keeps going up every month. Those jobs come at just the right time. Almost 6,000 of these jobs will be created in the construction industry to invest in the CTA, CHA, affordable housing, and road improvements. So that's the hard infrastructure. The specific project we expect the formula funding to invest are detailed in your press materials. These include 43 road projects, 12 public housing projects, 12 affordable housing projects, and 3 public transportation projects. And the road projects are designed because of arterial streets, the age, potholes, things like that. We hope to provide summer jobs to an additional, we think, maybe 8,000 young people and also community service jobs for ex-offenders, which are really important, including jobs as planting trees, cleaning vacant lots, railroad tracks, alleys, cleaning up the city. Soon we'll announce how young people unemployed can take advantage of many of these programs. They're not set out yet. We believe we'll be able to fund and maintain 1,000 jobs at the CTA to help with the Blue Line reconstruction, rail car and bus rebuilding projects, and about, we think, maybe 750 teaching positions. Now, a lot of these things are mandated. You have to spend here. In other words, certain projects, you have to spend that money there. So there's no discretion on some of these, right, Pat? Now, Pat is my stimulus drug czar. I mean, stimulus czar, excuse me. We always think czars are only drug czars, but Pat is the czar dealing with the stimulus package. You have one point of contact. Why that is important? Because otherwise, how do you report everything? We're going to be reporting everything as we do this, all these contracts and everything, transparency, openness, not only to the citizens or anybody can see, but also they have an inspector general now put over the whole economic stimulus package. And we're going to try to find a report our thing to that individual, or do you send it to each department in the federal government? We have to figure that out. And Pat will be going to the White House. They want a point of contact with all these state or county or county and city governments, because if you only have one point of contact, then it gets very, very confusing. In addition, we'll use the federal support to make many other investments in our neighborhoods and our people. We hope to rehab over 900 units of public housing, and specific projects are detailed, resurface or rebuild 43 miles of roads, provide emergency housing assistance to nearly 20,000 families, provide job training for nearly 15,000, including green job training, technology training, and other jobs in the future, healthcare, hospitality, and transportation. Offer substance abuse and mental health assistance for more than 1,000 low-income residents. Install energy-efficient traffic lights, street lights, and other equipment to reduce the cost of government by $3.5 million. Provide short and medium-term assistance to more than 7,000 households in danger of becoming homeless. And unfortunately, the mortgage foreclosure is increasing in Illinois. That's another statistic everybody's concerned about. Offer assistance to low-income Chicagoans, help them access to public benefits, including food stamps, LIHEAP, and EITC. Provide more resources to supplement our current foreclosure counseling programs. Offer more affordable home loan and refinancing options for those who have lost their jobs. And they have lost their jobs. They've been in a home for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And all of a sudden they could lose their home. And so that's one thing we want to make sure we can get to these people, be able to provide refinancing within their homes. Help transition foreclosed condos into affordable housing units, and that is a problem. You have like 12 condos, and you have 4 or 5 already foreclosed. It's affecting everybody's value of the other condos. What are we going to do with those? So we're trying to make them affordable rental units. Expand assistance for energy retrofitting in 1,000 units of housing, which is really important. We'll keep people in their housing, cutting their energy costs down. Construct about 700 units of affordable housing, which is really important. To improve our schools, which is the largest single category of funding. And I believe that goes to Arnie Duncan, Secretary of Education. We'll devote millions to recruit quality teachers, train and retrain them, as well as expand after-school programs, community schools, and support our ongoing standardized curriculum. We need a standardized curriculum through all of our schools, so each school knows they're teaching the same subjects. We'll also anticipate they'll be able to expand Head Start programs to another 450 children in Chicago, offer child care to more than 7,000 youngsters. We'll be able to expand after-school programs for kids between the ages of 6 and 12. We will have additional funds to support special education programs such as tutoring and teacher training, which is really important. Tutoring, mentoring, which is really important after school for a lot of young kids, or even on Saturday. And of course, teacher training is vital. To better prevent, fight neighborhood crime, we intend to install more cameras for police vehicles, both for detection of residents and police officers. To help put more police on the street, all year round, especially during the summer. We'll use these funds to help pay overtime as needed. And because overtime does go up at certain categories, certain months of the year, and I think you all know that. We'll use a portion of the funding to continue to modernize our aging police fleet of vehicles, which is really important. As you can see, the opportunities under the formula funding part of this legislation are great. The plan we have announced today is a responsible one that we believe meets the requirements of the federal stimulus legislation. And you have to remember, you're dealing with the federal government. As we work to balance our budget, this support helps us avoid some spending cuts we may have been forced to make as the economy continues to slow down. Taken together, this funding enables us to protect our quality of life. It helps those who are struggling to make ends meet, keep their homes, pay their bills, get their child care for their children, but most importantly, creates many, many jobs, thousands of them. But these funds are only part of the way the federal government is supporting Chicago and other cities. As you know, there are approximately $28 billion in competitive grants available nationally to cities, states, and private organizations, which we intend to apply for as opportunities are announced. And we're going to be working with the non-for-profit organizations as well, so that we can go in, so we're not competing against, an organization that has been well substantiated in the community. We're going to really try to focus that we all come together, that we can focus on very good competitive grants, and we can get this done as quickly as possible. Including in your materials a list of opportunities expected in the competitive grant categories. And this is what we expect. We don't know for sure. As we move forward, we'll announce our specific plans for those funds, the regulations for which have not been announced in many cases. So you have to have regulations from the federal government. And so they have to have regulations or rules set down so before you can apply these. So if you look at, you want to talk about this, Pat?
Sure.
The formula?
Sure. This is the basically the first one here. This is how the actual grant is being worked. The city is looking at getting just about $1 million in the formula fund. Billion, sorry.
Now break it down.
This is breaking down. The total stimulus package is $787 billion. $324 billion are going to tax cuts, and in spending it's $463 billion. Of that, there's competitive grants, the formula funds available to local governments, and other, which is Medicaid, food assistance, state budget stimulation, Pell grants, some of the other things you may have seen in the papers. We're eligible for the formula grants. We expect to get about $1 billion, which is broken up over here. And the awards for the competitive grants are still somewhat unknown. As you can see, for the just over $1 billion in formula, transit is expecting 241. Title I for CPS is 260 plus the 103 here, and public housing. That's over 600, almost close to $800 million of the $1 billion is in 3 agencies. The rest are for highway infrastructure is 86. Home funding for affordable housing is 39. Homeless prevention is 33 million. Cost efficiency and conservative block grants are 15 million. Head Start's 13. Then we have child care block grants, community block grant, development block grants, community service employers for older Americans, community service block grants, and workforce investment. But you can see almost 800 million of that project are going just to 3 agencies. Next we have over here is the formula funds. This is just some bullet points. The keys are to build and modernize our infrastructure, critical housing needs, emphasize energy and conservation, improve education, enhance public safety, and create and train workers, which is really the basic premise of this whole act.
And if you look at the creating 6,000, that means CTA, affordable housing, construction, jobs, and then 750 child care, education, social services, health care providers. Preserve 1,000 positions at CTA, and 750 teachers at CPS, and 7,300 summer jobs for youth. And we have to figure that out. And we think we create about 650 community service jobs for ex-offenders. So that's where you get the categories. And as you know, it's still in flux. You know, a lot of this, the rules and regulations for competitive grants, we don't know yet. And so that's why we're trying to coordinate with all the for-profits, not-for-profits in the city, so we go as one and not, separately compete just within Chicago.